So I've got Elaina Love, and Elaina's been a raw chef and lifestyle coach for about 12 years. She has an amazing online resource business called Pure Joy Love. Pure Joy Planet. She's got 2 different recipe books that she has with her, and she's been catering events, raw food events all over the world. So I'm so excited that she's actually one of our kind of local-ish resources. She's located in the East Bay at this point, and here she is, Elaina Love. She's going to be talking about her personal journey through raw foods and detoxification.
Thank you, Shea. I'm so excited to be here. This was awesome and exciting. It's my first time up to the Cafe Gratitude in Healdsburg. I'm a regular at all the other Cafe Gratitudes, especially the Berkeley one, because it's right down the street from me. So it's nice to see this one and be here and see all of these lovely people up here. It's great to see all of you here in little Healdsburg. So Shea's right, I started this about 12 years ago, and my journey into raw foods was really interesting. Can I just see by a show of hands who's like in their first year of kind of trying or starting with raw foods? So quite a few of you. Who's been doing it for like 5 years or more? So just not too many, so good. So this is good because I'm going to share with you tonight some things about like my journey into raw foods, and then one of my favorite topics and subjects is how to keep yourself healthy through detoxification and cleansing and purification. So I'll be covering that a little bit later. So when I first got into raw foods, that was back in 1997, and I had a little boy. My son now is 13, but at the time he was 2 years old, and I was experiencing a lot of low energy. You know, I had this amazing, beautiful child, and I didn't even really feel like playing with him. I just wanted to lay on the couch, and I was really cranky all the time and tired, and what later came to found out, just, you know, yeasty. I went to an osteopath because I was into holistic at that time, and I was already eating organic foods, and I was a vegetarian. But what I was eating on my vegetarian diet were all the things that I found out later I was actually allergic to, like eggs and dairy, cow dairy, and wheat, and any gluten products. And gluten products are like oats, barley, rye, spelt, quinoa, not quinoa, kamut, and I think that's about it for the gluten products. But that was a big part of my diet. Actually, I was eating who's gone vegetarian and started eating like the gluten dogs and the fake meat and all that? Well, that's actually what actually started to be my demise. Is after I went vegetarian, I cut out all the protein foods and added in all these gluten products. So my intestines started to get an overgrowth of yeast in them, which happens to a lot of people who are eating a lot of carbohydrates and dairy. So when I went to this osteopath, he took one look at me and said, your body is riddled with yeast, and that's why you're having all these problems. So he did some allergy testing on me. We found out I was allergic to eggs, to dairy, to wheat, to gluten. Everything I was eating. So ice cream was one of my favorite foods at the time, and I wasn't allowed to eat sugar anymore either. So I literally sat on the couch and cried real tears because I was like, what am I going to eat? I don't even know what to eat anymore. I wasn't going to go back to eating meat, which was the only safe food practically on the list. And so I just prayed, you know, because I had read this article while I was waiting in my osteopath's office by this woman saying, well, you know, like I went on this special diet that I was put on for candida, which is called, but, you know, I never really healed from it, and still to this day I suffer. And I thought, she talked about how she would want to go out for a wine with her husband or something and just would always be suffering. And I thought, I can't live this way. You know, I was in my early 30s at the time. I'm like, I'm not going to live this way. So I just sent out this silent prayer, like, please help me. I don't know what to do. There's got to be something else. So lo and behold, that same week I went into my chiropractor's office, and there was a book called Cleanse and Purify Thyself. Anybody heard of that book or read that book?
My Bible.
Great, yay, that's an amazing book. So have you ever read something and you just know it's true, or you hear something and there's something about your whole body that just goes, this is true, this is right? Well, I read that book just while I was sitting in the office. Back then it was just a little leaflet thing. And I knew this is what I need to do. In the book it talked about intestinal cleansing and eating a raw food diet. I had no idea what a raw food diet was. You know, like most of you, when you first heard of it, probably thought it was a salad. So, but reading this, I thought, I'm going to just buy this cleanse from my chiropractor and start it. So that's what I did. And in the book, the funny thing is, there was nothing to eat in that book. He didn't give you any recipes. He just said, don't eat this, don't eat that, no salt, no oil, no this. So for the first month doing this intestinal cleanse, I just jumped in. I thought, I'm just going to go for it. I was so excited. I ate hardly anything. I lost a lot of weight. Watching my son even eat a simple food like a baked potato would like just send me reeling. Like, I have to have a baked potato, anything that I could have. But I stuck to it because I really wanted to heal, and it was a pretty intense, extreme way to get into it, which I probably at this point wouldn't recommend just because I was one of those people that didn't really listen to my body at the time. I just went for it. And but it did work. I cleansed my body, I cleansed my colon out, and I got off all the foods that were really hurting me, all the gluten, and pretty much I went 100% raw at that time. And I would say after a month or two, my life was completely different. I was a totally different person. I went from being this cranky, irritable, excuse the word, bitch. I was married at the time, and it's like, I was just one of those really cranky people, not very fun to be around, to this person doing practically, if I knew how to do them, I would be doing backflips through my living room. That's how good I felt. So it was just amazing. And I think what did it for me really was all the green food that I was doing. And that's what I really like to share with people about how green foods can change your life, even if you're not eating a 100% raw diet. Which isn't really realistic for a lot of people, maybe just introducing more raw foods in to begin with. But the greens are, to me, the key. And I was doing green juices every day, and I was growing my own wheatgrass back then. But I called my company Pure Joy Planet, and I named it Pure Joy Living Foods at that time. And the reason I picked that name is because I felt so much pure joy, and it was for nothing in particular. Just being at a traffic light in a car, suddenly like drinking a green juice, surges of joy just flooding through me for no reason at all. There wasn't anything that I was looking forward to or anything like that. And it was the alkalinity. When your body becomes alkaline, suddenly this natural birthright that we have to be happy and joyful. There's a bumper sticker that I have. Did anybody see Happy's talk last week? She has a bumper sticker that says legalize happiness. And that's what I believe. Like, if you alkalize yourself, you're going to become happy. It's almost sometimes like happiness is illegal when you see how many people are unhappy out there. But I just found all this happiness and joy through becoming alkaline. So the ways that we alkalize our body is by eating, most raw foods are alkalizing. And what happens when you're eating cooked foods, most cooked foods that we're eating, like the meats and the dairy and the grains, are acid forming. What happens when you eat acid forming foods is, in order for your body to stay alkaline, or for your blood to stay alkaline, our blood has a pH of about 7.4, and anybody that's done the litmus paper testing sometimes sees that your pH is as low as 5. Maybe people that are really sick have down the 5s, and they'll go up to the 6s. Well, when that shows up, that means our body is acid, but our blood needs to stay alkaline. So in order for that blood to remain alkaline, what does it do? Does anybody know what our blood does to remain alkaline? It leaches calcium from where? From your bones. So why are people that are eating so much dairy in this country, that are living off dairy, why is our country one of the most highest populations of osteoporosis? Because it's a myth. Cooked dairy, cows cannot live off of cooked calves. Baby calves that are fed cooked dairy, cooked milk, die after 6 months. There's no nutrition in that. So all those foods that we're eating are actually acid forming, causing an acid condition in the body. Disease loves an acid environment. Disease cannot live in an alkaline environment. So when we start alkalizing our body by eating raw living foods, that's why we start to feel so much better and so much more energy and happier, because the alkaline condition is actually getting rid of disease that we didn't even really maybe know was there. And that's the interesting thing that happened to me. Like, if you were to ask me what was wrong with me at that time, I would say, well, I have this condition that was named Candida, so I have a yeast overgrowth in my body. But little did I know that I also had like this aching carpal tunnel in my wrist. I had lower backache all the time. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't realize it was a condition. I just thought it was something that I was living with. I had really bad intestinal cramping all the time, and my mother had it growing up, so I thought, this is just what I have to live with. My mother had it, I inherited it. You know, a lot of us think we've inherited something, but we don't realize if we change our diet, we can actually clean that out. We don't have to live with it. So looking back, what happened is I realized a lot of those conditions started to go away. And the reason I could find that out is because after doing raw for a while, and then if I would eat something cooked, like over a weekend, maybe I would go and splurge and have things, those conditions would pop back up again. So I could see the difference of what was happening when I was eating alkaline foods versus when I was eating acid foods. And especially in the beginning, when I was in my healing phase, I could really notice the contrast, because the body still wasn't cleaned out enough and ready for me to, go out and have pizza or whatever, so it would really react. And so I was just noticing all these different things that would kind of pop back in. I also had what's been named a healing crisis. I don't know if any of you have gone through a healing crisis, but that can be anything from just like a super bad ache somewhere in your body to having the first thing that happened to me is growing up, I had my tonsils removed.